all yours.
Great, thanks.
All right, well, let me actually, it's my new computer. All right. Well, hello. Welcome to our latest session, virtual college session with Gettysburg College today. And want to quickly introduce our guest speaker from Gettysburg College, Lauren Alizio. And just to let you know that if you have questions to ask, please make sure you use the Q&A button to type your questions today. Your camera and microphone are off, so if you will be muted and your video is off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. If you are interested in signing up for more sessions, we do have more sessions over the next week. Then please check out the list of presentations at www.oacac.org. And of course, the recording of the session will be available through www.oacac.org. So I will hand this back over to Lauren, and thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Abby, for the introduction. My name is Lauren. I'm one of the Senior Assistant Directors of Admission at Gettysburg College. And I've actually been in this role for about the last 5 years. I graduated from Gettysburg back in 2016, so I certainly do have a lot of love for this place. So I come from the student experience and now have been helping students to navigate the college search process and, find that Gettysburg can be the right fit for them and the right fit for their college experience. In my responsibilities, I've also had the pleasure of traveling to some different areas of Ohio. And so some of you who might be tuning into the session or watching it as a recording, chances are I might have been able to visit a high school or get to know sort of your area and become familiar with your context as a student, which is really important. And we'll talk more about the admissions process after I share with you a little bit of information about Gettysburg College. But the first thing I'd like to do is actually share a video so that at least for those of you who have not had the opportunity to visit campus, that you can see a little bit of what our campus looks like. So we'll get started with this video, and then I will dive into information about academic life at Gettysburg College, sort of social and extracurricular life at Gettysburg College, and then we'll wrap up with some admissions and financial aid information. And so please, as you are watching, don't hesitate to ask any questions. I'll be keeping an eye out for those, and I'll be sure to answer as many of them as I can during our session. So give me one moment. I'm going to queue up a video, and then we will get started.
We are shaped by the people around us, those who inspire us to be more, to do more.
Gettysburg College has a spirit about it.
You want to be a better person. You want to keep exploring and experiencing new adventures and find something that no one else has before.
When I first sat down in that classroom, I didn't know what to expect. And then it all became real. My professors believed in me. This place, this field, my coaches, my teammates, my friends, they've all become an integral part of me.
Talking with friends from back home, I'm the only one who's doing research from day one.
I launched my own startup in my first year. I studied the Battle of Gettysburg on the battlefield.
I'm experiencing the world, and I'm making a difference.
We love this place. It's the traditions, the town, the campus, the people, the cookies.
So dream big, then make it happen.
Come join us. Be a part of our community.
Together, we can change the world.
Together, we can do great work.
So I hope that was able to give you just a brief glimpse of what our campus looks like and maybe highlight some options and opportunities on our campus that you might be interested in learning more about today. As I mentioned, I'd love to start with academics on our campus. And so what's first and foremost important for you to know about Gettysburg is that we are a school of the liberal arts and sciences, and we have 2,600 undergraduate students. And so what this really does mean and what it informs about our educational philosophy are that we are so focused on the undergraduate experience, on the collaborative opportunities that you will have in the classroom because of the small class sizes to collaborate with your peers, but also to collaborate and build relationships and connections with your faculty. That is a really important tenet of a Gettysburg College experience. And so our student population is made up of students from across the country and across the world. So it'll be really interesting and exciting to be able to sit down in classes with students that have come from many different experiences, different lived experience than you yourself. And there's a lot of variety to explore academically on campus. Just really briefly to run through some of the stats on this slide, and then I'll go back to sharing more stories. But we do offer about 65 academic majors, minors, and programs. And so what that really does mean is that students have a lot of flexibility to mix and match their different academic interests. We have an honor code. We are one of the only schools in the country to have a fully fledged student-run honor code. And when I talked about that collaborative atmosphere, having this level of trust, having an honor code that is student-run really does allow for you to collaborate in the classroom, to peer edit, to brainstorm and work with students outside of the classroom in a way that is very free. Students are not afraid to have those kinds of conversations because it is encouraged on our campus. Speaking of those small class sizes, we average about 17 students per class. The biggest course you might see on our campus, about 35. Something such as an introduction to biology class or an introduction to psychology might be at that bigger end of the spectrum, but those labs that coincide with those courses cap at 16. So again, bringing you back down to that small class size. My smallest class at Gettysburg was 4 students. And my tour guides to this day do still report some courses in the single digits. So you certainly will have some very small seminar style classrooms as well. All again, creating that opportunity to be engaged in your learning. Your faculty here, because there are no graduate students, are in your daily life as a student at Gettysburg College. They are not only teaching your courses and working with you individually inside and outside of the classroom, but they're also getting to know you as a person. Our faculty serve as advisors on our campus. So as you are navigating your academic career at Gettysburg, you'll also be seeking help, assistance, guidance from your faculty advisor, primarily someone that teaches you in your first year until you declare a major. Then it will be someone who is a faculty member in your major area. But you're going to them to pick courses, to sort of talk about your goals as a student, and over time, really building a relationship that allows for them to be great resources to you, whether that be providing opportunities to get engaged with research, or them knowing you well enough that when it comes time to write recommendations for graduate school, they're writing about you as a person and your growth over 4 years versus perhaps what they learned about you in 1 semester in a class. So forging those really strong relationships with your faculty is also exceptionally key to your experience here. And as I mentioned, because there's no graduate students, there's nobody in between you and your faculty members. So that's always an important thing to keep in mind. One of the hallmarks of our education at Gettysburg College, being a school of the liberal arts and sciences, is that we really value the opportunity to be exploratory in your learning. So I mentioned that we have 65 majors, minors, and programs, and that you have a lot of opportunity to mix and match. So I like to break our curriculum down into thirds. Easy to sort of think about it that way. So the first third of your Gettysburg College curriculum is dedicated to completing goals that we set out for all students. These goals range from things such as the humanities, the social sciences, the sciences. You have to complete a course in each of those areas. And then some of them are a little bit more idea focused rather than discipline focused. So pertaining to global understanding, conceptualizing diversity, the integration of science and society. All in all, there are about 10 goals that all Gettysburg College students have to complete in their 4 years at Gettysburg. For many students, those goals are an opportunity to explore what our curriculum has to offer. For some students who might come into Gettysburg knowing exactly what they want to do, these goals are a gentle nudge to kind of step outside of your comfort zone and try something new on our campus, because we want all of our students to leave this space, leave Gettysburg College well-rounded, having had the opportunity to hone skills across disciplines. So like I said, the first third of your time is typically dedicated to completing these goals in our curriculum. The second third, to your major. You have until the end of your sophomore year to declare a major, so you can start on that right away, or if you need that time to explore, you have up until the end of sophomore year. But that's typically the central portion of your Gettysburg College education. And then the last third is whatever you'd like to do with it. You have a lot of opportunity to double major, major minor, have multiple areas of academic interest, and those things don't need to overlap. It's not necessarily students doing, pre-med in our health sciences major plus a biology minor. They certainly can do that, but we also have students that major in music and math, two things that are not overlapping in curriculum. So there's a lot of opportunity for students to really study what they want to study because they're excited about it. You have plenty of time to complete all of that. Additionally, with those, that time in our schedule and that ability to be flexible, the opportunity to study abroad once, maybe twice, the opportunity to get engaged in research and design your course schedule in a way that allows you to have a lot of active time to do that. So there is some flexibility built in so that students can really curate the type of Gettysburg College experience that they'd like to have. Now, when we talk about all of that, I think it's really important to also mention the way that we help get you acclimated to this space academically, because the transition from high school to college is a little bit different for everyone, and it's probably different than any academic transition you've made to this point in time. And so one of the ways that we do accomplish this at Gettysburg is through what we call our first year seminars. This is a program that all students in their first year are involved in. It is a course in your first semester of your first year. And these courses tend to be the pet projects of our faculty members. They are meant to be a little bit off center, if you will. And so there are courses that might not tie to any one specific major or discipline. These are often new pursuits of our faculty members or something that they wouldn't necessarily be able to teach within their discipline. So you can be taking one of our faculty members in the German Studies department teaches a course on conspiracy theories. So not particularly related to German studies, but this really interesting topic that he chooses to teach on. There are courses on death and the meaning of life, courses on the philosophy of film, the literature of homelessness in America. That one's actually a service learning class. And so students do actually spend a long weekend in Washington, DC, dedicated to service. So these courses are all very, very unique in their perspective. There are about 60 offered every fall. And our first year students rank their top 3 based on what sounds interesting to them. And then you are placed into one of those first year seminars along with 15 other first year students. Now, first year seminars are a way of sort of answering a lot of those transition type questions. So not only is it an academic opportunity, but it is also a social opportunity. You will be living with the students in your first year seminar. And so when you move to campus for orientation, you will be getting to know the students that are going to be in that class with you. You're going to be living in the same residence hall as them, going through the orientation process with them. And then come your first or second day of classes, you actually get to go to class and know all the students in the room, which is a really nice thing to have in your first week, in your first couple of weeks of college. As you're getting to know everything else, at least in this one class, you really do know all the students. It makes it easier to dive into conversation. It makes it easier to learn how to be in a collaborative environment because you're working together in the classroom. And then you always have someone to peer edit or study with when you are back in your residence hall, maybe doing your homework that evening. You also always have friends to go to lunch with or breakfast with before or after class. So it really does tie together a lot of those pieces. And in addition, the first year advisor that you have will most likely be the faculty member teaching that class. If it is not your first year seminar professor, it is someone teaching you in your first semester. And so you're also getting to know your advisor pretty naturally because you'll be seeing them a few times a week and they're going to get to know you in the classroom. So our first year seminars tie together so many of these pieces, which is really key. So it does make them a pretty integral part of your first year. And it also makes them oftentimes stand out in students' memory as one of the most exciting, interesting, really a standout opportunity on our campus, a standout experience for many of our students, not only because they're really fun classes, but I think they tie together a lot of really fond memories for students of their first year. So looking back, a lot of students will say their first year seminar was one of their favorite classes, which is always good to hear. I do want to transition, actually, before we transition a little bit away from academics, I do want to share with you a couple of images, a couple of photos to help you see a little bit of what our classroom environment looks like. So depending on what you want to study, you might be exposed to different parts of our campus. So for instance, what you can see on this page right here are actually students in our science center and our anatomage lab. We offer a health sciences major, which is a really great program for students interested in health professions in medicine, so potentially medical school, but also students who might want to go to PA school or into a nursing program or physical therapy, sort of any student thinking a human-focused medical profession. So that is a great opportunity for students to really have a lot of flexibility in what kind of graduate program or graduate education they would like to receive. But so these anatomosh tables were a gift to the college from some alumni a few years back, and they are awesome. They're really hands-on technology. What they are about 6 foot long, essentially very large iPads. As you can see, students are using a touchscreen feature. And so these anatomosh tables allow you to virtually dissect a human body. There are real human bodies sort of loaded into them. They are individuals who dedicated their bodies to science, and they are now in this technology. So students can learn all about the different systems of the body, and they're not perfect. So these individuals had, health problems and histories, and students are able to really dive deeply into those cases as a case study. So you can do everything from a full body dissection to look specifically at a system of the body. So here you can see that they are looking at what looks like the circulatory system. So a very hands-on opportunity for our students. Our health sciences courses do use these for some of their classes. So anatomy and physiology may be in the lab using these tables during the class time. But additionally, students are able to access them sort of outside of class hours as an opportunity to maybe study or continue to work with this technology. The lab is actually helped to be run by what we call peer learning associates. These are students on our campus that, since we don't have graduate students, serve in that function as a student tutor. And so students on campus can apply or be asked to join the peer learning associate program, and they will tutor in specific subject areas. So if you are a first year and you are in a calculus class, you may have the opportunity to work outside of class with a calc tutor who is a peer learning associate, or the students that are helping to keep the anatomosh lab open sort of outside of class hours are students that are peer learning associates. So that really does fill a very necessary role on our campus. That opportunity for students to educate their peers is an exceptionally helpful thing, in addition to all the resources that your faculty provide. So that's a little bit on the sciences. Of course, there are students on our campus doing research and working in hands-on experiences outside of the sciences. We have a special collections space up in the top floor of our library. And so we do have students that are able to work with historical documents, interns and students working on research with special collections have had the opportunity to restore and rebind, old volumes. We, of course, being located in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, do have a substantial collection of things specific to this area. So different letters and artifacts and pieces from the time of the Civil War. So there is a great opportunity for students interested in history or interested in that specific history to get engaged there, right on our campus. Not to mention, there are opportunities for students to be engaged in research off of our campus. We do have an office called the Office of Student Scholarly Engagement. And the purpose of this space is to provide access for students to learn about, apply, and sort of be guided through the application process to notable scholarships or foundations, awards, things of that nature that would sponsor students to be able to do research. Think of Goldwater scholarships for students in the sciences, the opportunity to do essentially graduate level work at the undergrad timeframe in different labs across the country. We have students that apply for critical language scholarships that are federally funded, and an opportunity for students to have a language immersive program over the summer, somewhere that is deemed critical to know. We have sent students to Turkey and different areas to learn Arabic. There have been students that have gone to other areas of the world as well. So it is language focused. So we have some science, we have some language, opportunities for students to apply for Fulbright scholarships as well. Those are typically more humanities focused and can send students to so many different areas of the world, whether that be sort of immediately after graduation or even a little bit further down the line. So this emphasis on connecting students to research and scholarly engagement is really key for us at Gettysburg College. Now that I've mentioned a little bit about academics, I also want to share a little bit about our space and how that informs our life here on campus. So what you can see here is a very bare bones map, but just to give some of you a chance to see where we are located in South Central Pennsylvania. Gettysburg College are, as you can see, noted by the large star. We are located in South Central Pennsylvania. We are about an hour from Baltimore, about an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes away from Washington, D.C., which is probably the metropolitan hub we make the most use out of. We are about 45 minutes south of our state capital, Harrisburg. But again, kind of giving you the concept that we are closer to the Baltimore, D.C. area than we are to like the Philadelphia area, to give you a sense of where we are located. So when we are making use of a metropolitan area, it is primarily Washington, D.C. And that does inform a lot of extracurricular involvement on our campus. I will really briefly find you some photos on the Eisenhower Institute. So I mentioned our proximity to Washington, D.C. Many students that do come to Gettysburg College do have an interest in political science, public policy, being engaged in that way. So that may be students that choose to study those things academically, but it is also an opportunity for students to be engaged outside of the classroom. So you don't have to study public policy or political science to be engaged in the Eisenhower Institute. This hub, the Eisenhower Institute, is a space for public policy and leadership development on our campus in Gettysburg, as well as we have an office in Washington, D.C., just a few blocks from the White House. So that connection is very strong. We want to make sure that students are having access to opportunities in the city to really learn the ins and outs of DC politics. And so when I talk about the Eisenhower Institute, I think that understanding it sort of like a model United Nations type program. It is not a class that you are involved in, but it is highly academic in nature. It is informing students of sort of policy in a very large way, but it is also an opportunity for students to really hone in on some specific skills that you might not have in the classroom. And so we offer seminars through the Eisenhower Institute that range on a variety of things. I mentioned access to DC. So Washington Connections is what you can think of as the introductory level program for the Eisenhower Institute, an opportunity for students to get to DC, to learn the ins and outs of DC politics, to meet with White House fellows and other sort of career professionals in the area and get a sense of what's going on. Students also can be involved in things such as environmental policy. So again, a niche type program for students with that interest. Strategy and leadership in transformational times is an ever popular program that we offer. Susan Eisenhower is the expert in residence for that. And so she works with students to really not only develop leadership skills and an understanding of that, but the impact of strategic leadership as well. So not many students across the country get to say that they're on a first name basis with Susan Eisenhower. So that certainly is a very unique opportunity for our students involved in the Eisenhower Institute. I also really like something like the Eisenhower Institute as an example for how programming on our campus works. So at Gettysburg, we want to make sure that you're not just involved in things, but that you are growing within these types of programs. The Eisenhower Institute offers general programming for any student to be involved with. Debate series, keynote speakers, and lecture series. The opportunity to get involved in some of these seminars if that is an area of your interest. But more than that, if there are things that you're really passionate about, there are opportunities for you to continue working with this program over the course of your 4 years. So by the time that you're a senior, if you've spent the first 3 years of your time at Gettysburg being heavily involved with the Eisenhower Institute and really soaking up all of those opportunities, there are leadership roles for you in your senior year. The Eisenhower Fellows plan speaker series on campus around a specific topic each year. In years past, there's been NASA and space policy, there's been transportation policy. They pick a different topic every year. So you're engaging our campus community around a special topic. And this program also typically is awarded some federal funding for a specific research project. And so students get to typically work together, travel, and work with their faculty advisor as the fellows to engage in this high-level research, while they'll be presenting to the embassy or to other career professionals in politics on their research findings. And so it does really tie together these pieces of, I've been involved with this and I'd like to continue to hone my passion, as well as providing opportunities to engage students who are just getting started with the Eisenhower Institute. I think that model, that like work your way up the ladder and never run out of things to do, is a model for how we run a lot of our programs on campus. Our Center for Public Service operating in a very similar way. as well as our Garth Leadership Center, which is our hub for student leadership development on campus. Both of those programs offer an opportunity for nearly any student to get engaged in some general programs, but also opportunities to join program management within them. So as a student in the Center for Public Service, you can help to run and coordinate some of our volunteer programs, whether that be the Painted Turtle Farm, our campus run farm, or a student tutoring program that we offer in the local community. Our Garth Leadership Center has programs accessible to first and sophomore year students that will sort of help teach tenets of leadership. But if you get really passionate and want to be more involved, you can get hired to be the student who mentors underclassmen through that program. So again, this idea of not only providing general engagement, but also really meaningful leadership opportunities as well. We should probably talk a little bit about residential life on campus. So these things that I just mentioned, I tend to think of as co-curricular. And so they are the pieces that are tying together your academic life at Gettysburg with your sort of social life at Gettysburg. But certainly not everything is academically focused. This is also where you're going to be living for 4 years. And so we do guarantee housing all 4 years at Gettysburg College. Our first years live in traditional residential style dormitory buildings. And after your first year, you typically live in what we call a suite. So you, a roommate, and a shared restroom. And juniors and seniors typically live in on-campus apartments. And so you work your way up a little bit on the autonomy scale as you go through your time here at Gettysburg College, but we are a completely residential institution. And so our students do stay on campus all 4 years. Some seniors can apply to live off campus in our local community, but they don't get too far. The off-campus housing is about across the street. So it's still very community centric. In addition to those standard options for housing, we also have what we call college houses. These are thematically organized houses that students can live in. And so what that really means is if you really liked the first year seminar living situation, the living learning community and having those things blended, college houses might be a great fit for you as a student. They are organized around different topics, themes, identities. There's a variety of different houses that range from Global Studies House to Farmhouse is our Environmental Concerns House. There is Q House, which is the LGBTQA, sort of not center on our campus. We do have an advocacy center, but this is a sort of social space related to the LGBTQA community on our campus. There is Hillel House, there is Peace and Justice House. So many different types of homes on our campus. And students can apply to be a part of these living learning communities. If you become a part of one, fantastic, you are a part of this community. But the goal of these houses is also to provide campus programming. So once you are a member of this house, of this community, you are responsible for putting on additional campus programming. So for instance, Hillel House, our Jewish student organization, actually host Friday night Shabbat dinners. And so they might partner with different houses for different events, but Friday night Shabbat is something that students can look forward to and engage. That's both social and potentially educational if you are a student exploring this outlet for the first time. So the college houses do serve a really key role on our campus. We are not a suitcase school. I mentioned all these different housing options because students are staying here. So many of our students do come from the mid-Atlantic and other sort of drivable areas, so to speak. But our students are not leaving on the weekends, and many of our students are far enough away from home that it is not even possible for them to go home on the weekends. So it is an active place. We have 2,600 students living on our campus, and we have 2,600 students looking for things to do in the evenings on the weekends. And those extracurricular activities can range from clubs and organizations. We have over 120 of them, and they range from political groups to service organizations to cultural affinity groups to barbecue pit mastering to beekeeping and everything in between. Anything that you do now in high school, chances are you will have the opportunity to do that in college here at Gettysburg. But if we don't have what you're interested in, start a club. It takes about 3 additional friends beyond yourself, a faculty advisor, and you have to fill out a form and present to Student Senate what you would like to accomplish with your organization. And then there you go. So that's how we get a lot of things started up, like beekeeping and barbecue pit mastering and things of that nature. So lots of opportunities there for student engagement. And I'd say for most students at Gettysburg College, you're probably super involved in a couple clubs and organizations. Maybe you become a leader in one that you're really passionate about. But because you know so many students, because everything sort of works collaboratively and is tied together, you're also going to be involved tangentially in a lot of other things as you support your peers, support your friends, maybe have to go to different events for class participation credit or things of that nature. And so you are really encouraged to be dabbling all across campus. In addition to the clubs and organizations, we have D3 athletics. We are a part of the Centennial Conference, and we have 24 different varsity sports. So football, soccer, field hockey, swimming, tennis, cross country, track. I had to think of a couple more. Lacrosse is a big one for us. Our women's team are 3 times national champs, and so I do always like to brag about that. Golf, very strong. We have so many strong athletic teams as well. And so an opportunity for student athletes to be part of a really high caliber athletic program, but also a phenomenal opportunity for non-athletes to get really excited about supporting your peers who are competing for our school. It certainly helps that we do really well in our conference. And so it does become an exciting opportunity for students to support our peers. We have exceptionally lively football games. We do have a cheer squad and a marching band. We are the only school in our conference with a marching band, so that does add a little extra pep to the games, played at Musselman Stadium on our home stadium. That is because we have a conservatory of music. So in addition to having stellar athletes on our campus, we also have stellar musicians. And just as likely as you are to have a friend who, is starting on a team, you're also as likely to have a friend who is, the star flautist in the orchestra. So just as we support our peers athletically, going to opera workshop performances or choral ensembles or instrumental ensembles is a great way to support your peers and to see the talent that is on our campus. So that is a little bit of what social life looks like. You're going to be busy between balancing academics, balancing clubs and organizations, and then being a part of sort of all these other things. Students do make it work though. We do, in addition to all of that programming I just mentioned, have a student group that is responsible for more general programming. Think things like pub trivia night or some of our annual events. Wingo is popular for us. We do love food here at Gettysburg College, and I will get to that in just a moment. But the opportunity to play bingo, win prizes, and all you can eat wings from the local sports bar in town is a pretty popular event for us on campus. They do it once a semester. So students always do look forward to that as well. So some of those more general events are put on by our Office of Student Activities, and they have students that are helping to run and organize all of those programs. But I mentioned food. So that means I also have to tell you about my favorite tradition at Gettysburg College, because I sort of forgot to mention that to you earlier. So my favorite tradition at Gettysburg College is Servo Thanksgiving. As you can imagine, we are located in a historic space. We are a historic campus. We predate the Civil War. Gettysburg College was founded in 1832. So we do have a lot of love for tradition here at Gettysburg College. My personal favorite being Servo Thanksgiving. You can see it on the upper right side of this screen, a student carving into a turkey at Servo Thanksgiving. The reason this is a big deal is because it is a really celebratory evening on our campus. It happens every year about a week before students are to go home for the break. And it's a nice time because Servo is sort of reoriented so that all the tables are in really long segments. So you get to show up with about 12 or 15 of your friends, and you are served a full Thanksgiving dinner by faculty, staff, and administration. Our wonderful colleagues over in dining services are so busy making all of the food that they don't have enough hands to serve it. So as a student, I not only got to eat all of this incredible food, but I think I like serving it as an administrator even more. You get all the fixings. Your mashed sweet potatoes, in my personal opinion, are one of the best things that Servo makes, but you do get a full turkey to carve for you and all of your friends. So it is a really fun celebratory evening that I think, especially in your first year, is a nice reminder of how much you've accomplished as you're nearing the end of your first semester of college. Because it's crazy to think that what only started about 10 weeks prior was the start of your college process or the start of your college experience. And in only 10 weeks, you've really built a really strong community. So that is certainly an evening that most students look forward to. They will wait outside all day in line to get into Servo or be one of the first groups into Servo for turkey. In addition to that, this slide does show a few other traditions that we have on campus. The image of students carrying those flags, again on the top, is what we call Convocation. It happens during your first day on campus. It is your official welcome to the Gettysburg College community. But the significant part of this ceremony is that students will actually process through the main hall of our central building, Pennsylvania Hall, the original college building here. And 4 years later, when it is time for you to graduate, you will actually make that walk in reverse. So you'll process the opposite way through the building to take your seats for graduation. So your time at Gettysburg coming full circle. In addition, on the bottom, you see Bergburst, the image with all of the different cultural flags or countries' flags. Bergburst is our cultural celebration at Gettysburg College. It is an evening of food and dancing and music and other sort of performances. So students register to showcase their country, if you will. So all of our students are eligible to sort of sign up and share food that they prepare in representation of their country and arts of that country. And so it's a really great evening of celebration hosted in our ballroom. It is hugely participated in. And again, food-centric, so we at Gettysburg are a huge fan. And the last thing on this list, as far as traditions go, is the first year walk, showcased down at the bottom left. This happens actually on day 2. You process from our campus to the National Cemetery, where you are read the Gettysburg Address by a keynote speaker. This is your introduction to our town community. And so it's more like a parade as you walk to the National Cemetery. There are townspeople, upper class students lining the streets. Even one of the gentlemen from one of the pizzerias in town is handing out free garlic knots. Again, always about the food. But the message that you receive when you are read the Gettysburg Address really asks you to think about how you will use your time in college to make an impact. We are certainly cognizant of the history of our space, but we also want to make sure that students are looking forward, that in this moment and in this space, you are preparing to be an engaged citizen, preparing to leave our campus one day and be of impact. And we want to make sure that students are thinking about that intentionally over the course of their 4 years as they prepare for what comes next. That is a little bit on traditions at Gettysburg. And I always do like to share those because I think it gives you a sense of the type of community we are, in addition to all the different activities, extracurricular events, and things like that. The last thing I need to tell you all about before I dive into some admissions and financial aid information is study abroad. So this is probably one of my favorite things to talk about. And really briefly, I will say Gettysburg College will not require you to study abroad, but you absolutely should consider it. We send about 60% of our students abroad for at least one semester. So we are really focused on those immersive lengths of time. We can send students as far north as the northernmost university in the world in Norway, and as far south as Cape Town, South Africa. We offer over 100 programs, so there's a lot of options in between as well. And the beauty of study abroad is that anybody at Gettysburg College can do it. It does not matter what you are studying academically. It does not matter if you're on a sports team or a musician. There is a program that will meet your needs. And so here you can see students sort of in a clockwise fashion. A student who studied in Cairo, Egypt, a student who studied in Australia and was able to do research in the Great Barrier Reef, students who were actually studying in a program in Rome, but this photo is actually from Milan on one of the trips that they were a part of during their time in Italy. And then lastly, a group of students in Kyoto. We do have a few, 2 different programs in Japan, so different opportunities for students to engage globally all around the world. And that's just a few of the 100+ programs that we offer. Some of them are language immersive, some of them are research intensive, some of them require internships. So you really do have a lot of opportunity to customize the type of global experience you would like to have. And our Center for Global Education will help you navigate that entire process, from what program is the right fit for you, when do you go, what courses you're going to take when you're there, and how are you going to get there. We will stipend your flight. We will get you there and back. We want to make sure that that is not a barrier for students, as well as your cost of attendance while you are abroad is the same as if you would normally be on campus. So what I mean by that is, if you are awarded any merit scholarship or need-based financial aid, that travels with you. So the semester that you are abroad, your Gettysburg College contribution is the same as it would be as if you were on campus. So that really does help alleviate sort of stress for students who might not be sure how to make an abroad semester work. It's kind of a part of your Gettysburg experience should you want it to be. Which actually means that we should talk a little bit about the admissions process as we're nearing the end of our time together. Scroll too fast. So I'm going to leave this up for just a moment so that you can see all of these pieces. I will preface this entire conversation by saying, we understand that things are different this year. We as admissions professionals are on your side. We are looking for the best parts of your application. We are looking for the best pieces about you, but we also understand that we will be taking into consideration that If you are a senior in high school right now, that your junior year, the end of your junior year got interrupted, the beginning of your senior year may have been interrupted or delayed, that there are a lot of things going on. And so when we're talking about what counts or sort of what we're looking for in an applicant, we are also doing so with the knowledge that we're people on this side of the desk too, people who have been impacted or have also had to navigate this world we're living in right now alongside of you. So we do understand that every day has not been a normal day for the last 9 months or so. Gettysburg College is a common application school with no supplement, so that does keep it fairly straightforward. We have also been a test optional school for over 13 years. And so the biggest question I've been receiving this year is, well, what if I don't have test scores? You're fine. We do not require test scores for admission. We have not required them for admission for, like I said, about 13 years. And so our application review process has not been dramatically altered this year. We are confident in reviewing applications without testing. It's just one piece of the puzzle, and we don't necessarily need that piece. So if you did take your exams and you feel good about the scores, by all means, please do send them in. But if you did not have access to them, or you didn't have access to prep, or just don't want to send in your scores, you absolutely do not have to and are not at a disadvantage. With test scores, you do not need to submit them in order to be qualified for merit-based scholarship. And so that is another piece, that we are awarding merit-based scholarship as we go through the admissions review process. You can see that the bulk of our merit scholarships are in this $20,000 to $35,000 range. These scholarships do not require any additional application. So as we're reviewing, we may be awarding those merit scholarships in the range of $20,000 to $35,000 based on academic success and rigor. Now, there are 3 scholarships that do require an additional application. Music scholarships are awarded through our conservatory to students with a strong talent that is awarded during the conservatory application process. STEM Scholars is a scholarship that does require an application. It is on our website, and that is for students that are traditionally underrepresented in STEM fields. That scholarship began with a National Science Foundation grant that we have continued. And so if you're interested in pursuing STEM in college, head to our website, look at the STEM scholarship and see if you would be qualified for that. And the last is this one up here at the top, the Eisenhower Scholarship. That is a $40,000 per year scholarship that is awarded based on academic achievement and civic engagement. So this calling, this interest, this passion for being engaged. And so that might be in your high school, your local or national community. But again, that application is on our website. So take a look and see if you would be interested in applying based on what you've been involved in so far. Last quick pieces. We do require the FAFSA, the federal form for aid, as well as the CSS profile, which is through the College Board. We require both of those forms to award need-based financial aid. And lastly, we have 2 types of deadlines at Gettysburg. Early decision, the binding option, if it's the #1 place for you, go ahead and apply ED. If you aren't quite sure or ready to make that commitment, regular decision and early decision round 2 are available on January 15th. So those are the 2 types of decisions that we offer. So that is everything about Gettysburg, and I fit that into about 44 minutes. So that is not nearly every student story or every piece of Gettysburg, but hopefully gives you a sense of the academic nature of our campus, the extracurricular and social life on our campus, as well as a little bit about the admissions process. If you have any questions, if you want to get more information to get involved with us virtually, please don't hesitate to visit our website. Check out our admissions page. It'll give you lots of great opportunities, but thank you for tuning in. My name is Lauren, and I'm your Ohio rep, so don't hesitate to reach out to me with any additional questions.
All right, thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing with us all the amazing facts and what Gettysburg has to offer for students all over the country. So for those of you who were able to join, thank you so much for joining us today. There is a quick survey that will be shown after you close the window for this presentation. And again, if you'd like to sign up for more sessions, please go to www.oacac.org, and recordings will be available at www.oacac.org. Have a wonderful day and stay warm. Enjoy the sunshine. Thank you.